So what does a typical training session entail for athletes on the field
Well,
at university? Can you describe what practice looks like?
yeah. First of all, and I'll go with what we would look like in a fall season because, of
Yeah.
course, at all your collegiate levels, you are going to have a fall season. And then after Christmas break, you're gonna run into what we'll call a winter and spring session, which is an abbreviated training period where we still get to spend upwards of 12 hours a week on the field. But going back to a typical practice for us, and I'm going to say the season is going. Preseason is done. Let's say we're on a Tuesday, Saturday playing schedule, or I'm sorry, a Tuesday, Saturday playing schedule. Everything is always going to be based on number one, who's our next opponent? Number two, how much time do we have to train for that opponent? And then number three, but probably most importantly, how many actual bodies do we have in a training session? You'll have a roster of 34 guys, and sometimes you're sitting there looking at, unfortunately, you might have 10 guys out. And then all of a sudden, there's a training session that you're going to tailor towards, the healthy guys. You have a smaller roster. Say you're at a roster of 25. You lose 7 guys down, you're down under 17. So daily, we're planning our training schedules on players that are available. Typically, we go 5 to 7 every day. At Cornell, there are no classes on campus from 5 to 7. That is allowing most of your sports teams to train in the evening and still have parts of the evening. There are classes that start at 7:45, 8 o'clock in the evening. So the school does a very good job of allowing us to tailor practices around that. With a 5 o'clock start time, coaching staff is arriving at practice at 4, getting everything set up. Players don't have to set up. Players are typically rolling down the driveway and uh, seeing what's going on just based on how the field is set up. They're getting there typically about 4:15. That's what time the trainer's getting there. Guys are walking into our training facility, getting taped up, getting the okay to train if you've been an injured guy from the trainer. Guys will get into that locker room. They're playing whatever type of juggling games they're choosing to play on that particular game. We have a pretty active locker room where there's usually a little footstool sitting in the middle of the room. You got 2 guys basically playing soccer tennis off of a 18-inch high stool. That's every day. Guys start pulling out of the locker room probably about 4:30. They're starting to get some little small group stuff going still, juggling games and whatnot, uh, counting balls, bringing pennies out, bringing extra cones. Everybody's kind of doing their jobs amongst the teams. At 4:45 on the nose, we break off into our rondo groups. We have 5 10-by-10 boxes set up, and those where your rondos happen. Usually they're set up to be 5v2s, one touch, until there's enough guys for it to be 2 groups. You might have 13 guys playing 11 on 2, and the 2 guys in the middle are stuck in the box. And 15 passes keeps you in the middle, or nutmeg keeps you in the middle. And that's when the laughs and that's when practice has started. Once those rondos get going, the guys know the clock is ticking. Coach Smith has no problem stopping the rondos if he sees that it's just turned into something that looks like you'd be playing pickup with your buddies, because it really is the first time that we get to see the guys, how snapped in and how into the day are they in that rondo circle, whether on the ball or the 2 defenders in the middle. That's 15 minutes. At 5 o'clock on the nose, head coach Smith, myself, Coach Stotts will take the guys on a 15-minute warm-up. The goalkeepers typically are off with the goalkeeper coach. I'd say 5 practices in a week, the goalkeepers will warm up with the team maybe once, but usually they're on their own thing. That 15-minute warm-up with the coach is 15 minutes, not 16 minutes, not 14 minutes and 30 seconds. It's timed out to the minute. Whether that's myself, Coach Smith, Coach Stotts, and in that warm-up, coaches kind of have a license to do the warm-up the way they'd like to. We have basic exercises that a lot of guys have always seen: open gates, closing gates, skipping around, jumping around, interspersing stretches in there, getting all the big muscle groups warmed up. You're doing some juggling exercises, you're doing some dribbling exercises. As the warm-up is going, you're getting up to pace. The warm-up is getting more dynamic, more changes of direction, more powerful movements, more quicker movements. Getting up to the end in the last, say, 90 seconds, we're building up to a series of sprints. Our big thing is by the time you're done with that 15-minute rondo, that 15-minute warm-up, you're 30 minutes in, you got a lather going. You're sweating, you've gotten some intensity going, and you're ready to pour into the day. And that's every workout, every practice. A typical practice would see us more than likely going into some type of small group technical stuff. We like to do pattern passing in groups of 4 and 5. Every once in a while, it's a big team of 10 doing pattern passing. Sometimes we'll come in that first technical session. We'll put a defensive spin on it. We're doing 2-on-2 drills, 3-on-2 drills. We're doing banks of 4s, playing against, a team of 4, working on our defensive postures, movement, communication. That will tend to turn into some type of small-sided game where we're working on a theme, being that we're working on building out of the back. We're working on getting our central midfielders on the ball more. We want to work more on attacking from the flanks. All of our practices will have a theme, and like that mid-game, that first game will build into a smaller sided game, which a lot of times will lead us to our big game at the end again, where we're looking to pull out themes. We are very theme oriented. Every single practice is planned in the morning with all the coaches on staff. I'm also a high school coach, so I'm calling in. I'm on the speakerphone 9 o'clock in the morning, and all of the coaches are dumping in to what they think the session should entail. And then one of our top 2 guys will break off, whether it's Luke with the defenders. Used to be Drew Hutchins, but last year he took off to NC State, so we'll get a new guy, and we collaborate on what the session would look like. Guys, add this, pull that out, and by the time the guys roll into the practice, it's been planned, it's been fine-tuned, we know the bodies that we're going to work with, and then we go. Some of the things that we're looking for in practice, it's always game speed, it's always game intensity. Our biggest thing is we don't want to kick anybody out of practice, so to speak. Literally, I'm not clipping your ankles, but I'm going to tackle you. I'm going to challenge you. Our biggest thing is if we can train the way we play, we'll catch a team that has to build up for a game. We are trying to be at the same level in practice that we'll bring to a game, and that lets us know if we've done our job. Our offensive players know that if they've had a good day, we as a staff haven't done our job because we're leading with our defense and how we act without the ball. We're coming into training expecting our attack to have a very, very hard day. And that's just some of the things we're looking for. Practices are free for guys to come and be who they are in what we're trying to do. We don't have a lot of guys that are just flying off on their own, doing whatever they want to do. But you are allowed to do our system the way you see fit. We're not asking guys to pass it as soon as they get it. We're looking for guys to be super creative in training, but at the same time, knowing you're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 guys in your face. So we're hoping to create problems for ourselves offensively in training because it lets us know everybody's on the front foot. But that's what training looks like on a typical day. You get closer to the back ends of the weeks, we're slowing down a little bit, getting our set pieces in offensively, defensively. We're making sure that we got our penalty kick takers doing what they need to do. Back into the week, our free kick guys start to show up a little bit earlier before everybody else to get extra work in. Back into the week, our front runners are coming in, getting extra work with coaches. Again, this is before practice, But typically, as we get closer to games, guys in their positions start to show up to individually and small group wise start to hone in on what's it going to take at the next game. But so guys certainly have an ability to come in and continue to work on their individual games as we're taking care of our collective work.